Morning, it's April 15th. Markets open up in 1 minute. Morning, it's looks like after the sell-off overnight, the Nasdaq is pushing again, or not the sell-off overnight, the sell-off yesterday. So is ES. So we can have another day where we reach all-time highs. The market's just opened. What is the ticker for Coinbase? Coinbase. Coin, of course. If we get a pullback at all in the Nasdaq, I'll look to enter. Bought a little bit of Coinbase this morning in the IRA. I'm not showing that on screen, but I'll monitor it throughout the day, and if it drops some, I'll just keep adding until I get into Coinbase. I'm going to hold it long term, so not too worried about price overall. Just
Order filled.
If Nasdaq wants to push, let's just get in. Could have waited for a pullback, just going in early. Looks pretty strong in the delta, looks pretty bullish. Looks like it wants to get back to all-time high. I think we should be able to test the previous high. Probably have to go to time chart to see it. It's gonna be hard to see it on this chart. Yeah, to test that 14, the 1420s. I'll tell you, it is funny how this always seems to happen. I'm sure I'm not the only person who has that experience of when things are breaking out and pushing, as soon as they hit buy, it starts going the other way. Which is why I usually wait for the pullbacks, but just decided to get in early here. Move that up to the third standard deviation away from VWAP. And just look to scale in. If this does come down, I'll look for another, basically by the pullback essentially, if it does come down. ES is doing. Look at a 15-minute chart on the ES. ES still pushing. Double top just formed here on the NASDAQ on our 22 tick range.
The first million is hard.
Waiting to see if it wants to break here. Having a hard time getting through this double top. The buyers are still coming in on the delta. And we're seeing a volume node is forming right at this price level. We'll see if they push it down and flush it, or if it breaks through. Oh, I'm in the wrong.
Order filled.
Well, that was dumb. I was in the wrong account. Wow. What is this? I don't care about that.
Order filled.
Close that. This is it. I'm glad I noticed that then. Wow. Wow. So I'm trading with Top Step right now. This is step 2 in my account with Top Step. Let me adjust this again because I don't want to get out. I actually just want to hold. Ideally for me, it's, you know, hold a single contract like all day long, you know, and just move my stop up to swing lows every time it forms a new one, and just hopefully I get stopped out somewhere up here instead of, you know, for a loss, whatever. That's ideal for me today. It looks like it's one of those days where it wants to trend up pretty hard. At least for right now, it looks that way. Tempting to move my stop up and just get out of it and, you know, be done, but gotta risk something, right? So we'll wait here and chill. To recap yesterday I started off pretty bad actually. Let's maximize this. Yesterday I started off pretty bad. We'll go, where's yesterday anyway? Here. So I was only trying to take longs above the 200 EMA, and as you can see, we were trending down pretty much all day yesterday and trending down really hard. So I was getting wrecked. Finally, I decided to just close off stream. I took a break. I came back later in the day, and it was still trending down, so I just put on a short. I don't remember where exactly anymore because it's not showing on here, but put on a short. It pulled, I think, where was it anyway? It had to be like after, right around 1. I think it was somewhere around here. Or probably here. Because it was after 1. I think it was here. Anyway, it started pulling back to one of the deviations. I think it was here. Took a short. Pulled back, touched it again. Shorted a second contract and just wrote it down. And then when it started coming back, I got out. And so that managed to get me back at break even for the day, and then I just waited for it to hit this deviation again and shorted it for a third time on just one contract and wrote it. I put it under the swing, and I waited for the swing to break, and it broke on this node here just before close, and that's when I got out. It was profitable. I think like $900 total. This is a different step too. It's this one. So yeah, this is the step 2 that I'm doing right now. This is, well, day 1, and this is yesterday basically. So up $951 after that. We'll see where we can get to today. I do want to try and capture this entire step 2 on live stream, so I'm gonna try to avoid, you know, yesterday, right, where I end the day with a loss and then I trade later in the day and fix it. Just for the sake of having everything like online and just being transparent. I don't mind this coming down as long as it goes back up. Honestly, I would like to add a contract here. If it can bounce off of something and show some momentum. I just hate adding at my entry. I would rather add either below my entry or above after it's actually shown like a sustained push and breaking something, right? It's showing that it's trending when you're above. So you're adding on something that's actually pushing, right? And then on the flip side, if it's coming down, then you're scaling in and getting into a better overall average if it's coming down. But if you're buying at the same exact entry, it can still, you know, push down from there, and then you're kind of screwed because you've already shot all your shots basically. and you don't have that benefit or that reassurance of, okay, this has been pushing and it's in a sustained push. So we'll see. Really tempting to add here. But as we all know, the NASDAQ is nuts. It moves a lot, so always got to be a little cautious on adding, especially since my first entry was already pretty early and pretty aggressive. Or late, depending on how you want to look at it. I'm very curious as to what Coinbase is going to do. Well, not bad. Bought 10K worth of Coinbase, up $100 on it, so up basically 1%. It's not the worst start ever. That's the problem with my IRA. My IRA is literally Coinbase and Tesla right now. I sold all my AMD to get into Coinbase, or so I could start scaling into Coinbase. And it's really risky to have only two things in your eye. Well, I have some Vanguard, some VUG Vanguard growth, but that's not much. It's really just Tesla and Coinbase. This thing is looking tired. Had a nice push. Looked like it was gonna break it and surge upward, and now it's just dead. As long as we don't start putting in lower lows and lower highs, I'm good with it. Yeah, 1500. Yep. NASDAQ 15-minute chart still looks bullish overall. It's so much easier, but at the same time, so much harder to trade one contract. Easier in the fact that you can sit here and hold through way, way, way more. And I guess emotionally, it's a lot simpler because it's just one contract, but it's so boring. It's so slow. After you get used to trading like with three. On a 3 contract play, I would have held through. I would have got in here, held through this. On this push up, I would have moved my stop up. Then, what's that? 5, 10, 15. It's probably like 14 points, 14-ish points. I would have gotten 10 points out of that probably. 10 points on 3 contracts. $600, I think. I can't click. Yeah. Looks like our push is happening. Or it's trying again, right? It's trying to test highs. Don't be scared. Just go right through it, please. I mean, the delta made a high. If it wasn't for this delta having made a high right here, I would be tempted to get out just because it has been having a hard. It looks like it's not wanting to break this, right? But I'm very patient when it comes down and scaling in, so I've got to be just as patient on the way up and let my, like, this is currently a winning position, all things considered, so need to let it go and give it a chance to go and be great. I think it's the other thing that I kind of miss from trading with 3 contracts is just the fact that it's so much easier to just move a stop up really quick, and if it keeps pushing, it keeps pushing, and the trade becomes big. And if it doesn't, then you get stopped out for like, I don't know, 5 points or whatever small amount. But even those small amounts are still going to be more than $200 usually. Heck, man, you do that like a few times in a day. It's like it's easy to find 4 points or 5 points multiple times in a day using like a sizable stop, and just being patient, taking good entries when it's pushing and when it's going in your favor. Like it's really not all that hard to do. The problem I have is when with 3 contracts, it's just that the size is just generally too big, and so when it is going against you, you want to like have your your stop be tight, but to do that on 3 contracts, it's like not giving yourself enough space for the trade to breathe. And then if you do give it the space that it actually would have needed to get to where it would reach, then your risk is just so much. Because I'm only going to risk 1,500 in a day, and that's 25 points, which, you know, sounds reasonable. 25 points on the NASDAQ goes like nothing. So now I've completely changed up my style. Not completely, but at least how I enter. How I'm entering anyway. At least contract size and the way I'm entering, that's totally different. This way's a lot slower, a lot more room to breathe. Generally easier, generally less stressful. Just takes a long time. But y'all know, as Top Step says, trade for tomorrow. That is not what I was doing before. I'm not liking what the delta is doing right here. Not a fan of that at all. ES still looks like it's trying to push and get out of here. Let's look at the NASDAQ on the time chart. Yeah. Oh, it hit a pivot point. Is that what it is? It hit a pivot level. That's what's holding us back there. 30 minutes. Yep, that'll do it. I want to say it should be able to break this though. I mean, even if it has to test downward first, it should be able to break through that. I mean, there's a lot of volume here, but I don't see why it wouldn't test downwards and then continue on up through. We'll see. We'll see. The MACD is looking bullish. Hopefully it can hold around 13. It won't get too much down below 13.934 where volume is. I can see it rotating down to there, getting this volume fill, and then coming back up. I'm just going to be passive here and just wait. Again, this is a tempting entry to take off of the drop and the push up. I just don't want to, well, two things. I don't want to buy in at my initial entry price. I really try hard to avoid doing that. You know, I'll buy in above it or below it, but not so much at it. And then the next thing is where I would have been buying if I had bought that would have been right underneath the one deviation above VWAP as well as the value area high, and I don't. Again, I'd rather buy either way below those or way above both of those things. but not at them. So this little trend line is broken. We can adjust it and see if there's any hope for it anywhere. You could draw this and say this is the trend line, but this is a crappy trend line. I think this trend line is useless. Start from here, 8:30. That could be one too. Again, I still think that trend line is useless, so I'm just going to delete it. The other thing I'm finding with trading the one contract and trying to add as it goes is I'm finding that I end up in a lot of situations just like this where I trade I get in on the first contract, it goes, it's profitable. I think this is up at like $300 at one point. And then I just don't take profit yet because usually I'm targeting like a minimum of 25 points, so I'm looking for like $500. Whereas with 3 contracts, I would have just moved to stop up and gotten whatever I would have gotten, right? So I'm in and out a lot quicker on 3 contracts, and I think that makes it easier for me to lock in gains quickly. Whereas this, I'm finding that I end up holding through, like, I was positive and, decently enough so, and then it comes back. Or like the trend is breaking and I'm still holding it through drawdown. I'm not sure how I want to start playing and handling that situation. I'll have to figure out something going forward. I mean, while it was only $200-300 in the green, now I'm 400 in the red, and wondering if I should be considering scaling into this at all anymore. And the reason I say that is because yesterday was a very red day, right? So this could have just pushed up here, and that could be it. This could be the high for the day. Bounce off the pivot point and rotate down through get the volume fill. It could break that and rotate down to the next pivot level. And heck, you never know, it could break that and then push like the lows from yesterday. You just don't know. There's no way of saying 100% what it's going to do. But my bet is long, so long we will.
Order filled.
In for my second contract off of again, we were talking about it earlier. I could see it rotating down to the volume node and bouncing off of there and pushing back up and just playing the little rotational play. What we're hoping now is buyers will come in and it will push this volume node here and get above it and then push for the high again. At this point, we don't necessarily need it to even break the high. We just needed to test the first deviation above VWAP, which should be able to do that, but we'll see. Oh wow. Getting wrecked, getting flushed. Got my stops just at 1500. I don't know if I'm even interested in holding that if it breaks underneath here.
Stop filled.
Okay, so we'll cut that off there. Man, the mornings of these past 2 days just can't start off well. Finishing well usually, but can't start well. Not starting too good. Let's see. Now it's confusing because it looks, and to be fair, it's looked like it's wanted to roll over all day. Like it did have a moment here where it was pushing and looked strong, but after it failed here and then formed like this lower high, it didn't look, from then it hasn't really looked like it's wanted to break. I know it came up here and tested, but then it put in a double top right away and pulled back off of it. And so it hasn't really looked like it's wanted to push, except for open. And again, you're getting kind of the same issues as yesterday, where you look at volume and volume is all above. Meaning there's going to be a lot of resistance above going upwards. I usually don't like shorting when we're in a long-term bull trend. But if this puts in another lower high somewhere and starts coming down, I'm probably just going to short it, to be honest. I am not a fan of all-time highs. I know a lot of people love all-time highs, but all-time highs annoy me because it's always this stupid cat and mouse type deal where it's, you know, test high. We've never been up here before, so nobody knows what the heck they're doing with themselves, and then it like drops, and then it goes back up, and they're like, wait, we haven't been here before either. Drops. and then it's not until like after hours when it actually pushes and does something. Will be very annoying if this starts pushing here. If it does, as much as it's tempting to buy back in and try to hold for the long, finally, just can't do it. It is sailing up there. Not showing too much on the delta while it's making this move. I guess you do have consecutive green on there, but we'll see.
Order filled.
We'll see how this turns out. I'm changing my direction and just deciding to short now. We will see. I usually don't like shorting above the 200 DMA like this. It's just after yesterday, man, if I would have just been more lax on that rule and just started shorting earlier in the day, it would have been, could have been a huge day. Uh-oh. See, that I thought was coming down. The way that just came down and broke above is a very strong indicator that we were actually going up. See, and now you actually do have buyers on the delta. And it's broken this node strongly. Man, this is annoying.
Order filled.
That's extremely frustrating. Question is, which direction are they running stops in? Was it this one or was it this push up? Or both? It's probably this last push up, which should indicate coming down, but I don't know. It feels wrong to short here.
Order filled.
Shorting 3 contracts at the high. We'll see if I get wrecked.
Stop filled.
Okay.
Order filled.
We'll see if it goes this time or if it comes down. ES making a high on the day. Really hoping the Nasdaq will follow suit. Rather than push down right here. Look at the 15-minute chart on the Nasdaq. Yes, at all. At a new high. See, ES is behaving more as expected. I guess the Nasdaq is doing the same thing, it's just with a bigger area. I need to get over this. I need to mentally erase this because this is just annoying. It's unfortunate that it, after pushing up here like that, it basically went to my average in price and came down. This is very unlucky there. And came down just enough to hit my stop. It maybe went a point past my stop and then went right back up. But well, moving on. Here, I want to say you're getting a little bit of build-up. Nice rounding formation. It's holding the first deviation above VWAP. It's after a major push upwards. It's technically broken the double top that was on there previously, so it should be able to push through this very nicely, actually. It should be, anyway. But we'll see. I'm gonna go to the time chart and I'm gonna set my, okay. Just wanna make sure I'm basically targeting the high, yesterday's high. Okay, that all looks good. And that's it, we'll just leave it and let it ride. If it comes down and stops me out again, then I'll just be done for the day. And I can blame the first one on being a bit unlucky, but the second one, this trade, it made sense, but it does, kind of break some of my rules with the 200 EMA and not taking shorts there. But hard to not do that after yesterday's showing, so I can understand it, but just didn't work out. It was one contract, so it's all right. If this one doesn't work out, then the takeaway, the problem with this one is I'm basically buying at the high. It's like I'm trading like a breakout trader. And if I'm trading breakouts, technically my stop should be here, 964. But I'm gonna leave it, give it its space, and it's either gonna go up here or it's not. I need to check my email. Take profits pretty large. It's $2,600 if it goes up there and hits that. Again, that is the high from yesterday. If it does get up there, I'm not gonna leave. I'm not just gonna leave my stop down here though. I'll adjust my stop after we see a decent enough push and I see something that can act as support. If I wasn't already down, I would have probably already moved my stop up to be locking in something. But again, when you're patient with the losers, you gotta be patient with the winners. So just gonna try and stick with that. It's hurt me once today already, resulted in this, but we'll see what happens this time, right? Just gotta be consistent and trust that the strategy overall works. Granted, I got away from the strategy here, but we'll see. We'll see. Man, the ES is going. Man, well done, ES. I wish I had held these two contracts. Because by now I would have put my stop underneath here and just been waiting for this to go. And then maybe move my stop to like somewhere underneath this. But yeah, after this move I would have it underneath here. That's alright. That's alright. Rough start, good finish. Onward and upwards. Let's go. Delta looking amazing. The Delta is looking very, very strong. The ES is pushing very aggressively. The Nasdaq is following suit. Go up and pay me. My neck. Huh? Chrome. Alright, just for the sake of I wanted to move my stop up quick, even though even moving it up now is technically not quick anymore, but I wanted to move it up so that I could lock in a profit. And now it's coming down right as soon as I was doing that, and I don't want to lock in here because even though it's only 4,500, 200 bucks, at the moment I don't want to lock in red. Dangerous game I'm playing here, being all caring about like the small technicality of being red versus green. Nah, it's bouncing off the 14K whole number basically. Telling you, the market, every time it touches something, every time it touches a whole number, it freaks out. It's like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. Runs away, then comes back to it and is like, oh, okay, we've been here before. This is no big deal. If we could all get together and just collectively hit buy, that would be nice. Part of me too really wants to see it go and hit this take profit. I think it can. It just would take time, and it's at the risk of it comes down first and then goes up there, right? Like, I don't think it's just going to rocket straight to that, as much as that would be awesome. Rarely ever does it do that. Yeah, I'm gonna give it some time. The Delta still looks good. The ES looks good, even though the ES is pulling off of here a little bit. It's still strong, and the ES's Delta, the ES's cumulative Delta is insane. Like, that's extremely bullish. So we'll see. If this comes all the way down here, then I'm an idiot, but it is what it is. Okay, let's work on this. Oh, I can't do this until I'm done streaming. Well, then it will have to wait for a bit. I want to see this thing push more. Okay, it's right over the node now.
Order filled.
I went ahead and hit exit. Again, after the morning, I just wanted to get green. I can probably honestly hold this for more, but I have broken a couple rules today already. And you know what? Honestly, so the rule that I'm talking about that I broke today that I didn't like breaking is the 200 EMA. Usually, I only trade longs above the 200 EMA, but I guess what I'm thinking is that from days like yesterday, it's at what point does staying long over the 200 EMA not matter, right? Like I was long over the 200 EMA and it trended down literally all day long. So there was never a chance for me to actually make money until I flipped to the short side. And then you see I tried that today to say, okay, well, this is a big push down. Maybe it does want to come down, and I got wrecked for it basically. At least it was just on one contract, and it wasn't three. So a little bit lucky there that I only used one on that and not three. But still, like that cost me. I don't know, points wise. This is what 40, 30. No, it's like 30 points. So it cost me roughly 30 points on one contract. So the question becomes, how am I getting my buys for the day? Should I stick with the 200 EMA? And if it were above it, just go long? Or should I be looking at the slope of the trend lines? Or what exactly should I do? And then with trend lines, it's confusing because, right, you can draw make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. This is the one thing that I struggle with on trend lines. I could draw this from here to here, and say we're in an uptrend, and then suddenly this first push happens and breaks, right? And now from here to here, and we can adjust this line over this way. We can say that this trend line is broken and it's starting to downtrend. But if you look at the longer time frame, it's still trending upwards, right? But this single push is big enough that you could say the trend is broken. It would look broken while you're in the middle of this trade, and it did look broken, which is why I started to go short, and why I was looking to go short off of this point here. But then it doesn't do that, and it continues on upwards. So a bit confusing, a bit hard to read. Not sure what I want to do. I think I'm going to stick with just if we're over the 200 EMA, we're just only going to go long and just kind of live and die by it on days where it doesn't work. Just accept that it's not going to work, and accept that on that day I'm just going to take a loss. And I shouldn't try to change things up necessarily to correct for that, and just understand and accept and truly accept that, no strategy is going to work every single day. And then, that's it. Today, if I had just stuck to what I do, right now I would be up. What am I up? I'm up 195 after that. Let's see, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's over here. So where's that? So yeah. So looking at this, I would be up roughly $1,500 if it wasn't for, changing up my plan. And technically that $1,500 is not accurate. That's just $1,500 from this trade. Anyway, I would be up a lot more, we'll put it that way. At least $1,000 more if I hadn't sold out of here and started trying to look to go short. Because even at this point, I still had space to add a third contract if it did continue to pull back, and it didn't, right? It pushed up and went higher. So I don't know. I think I'm going to cut it off for today just because emotions have gotten high. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. It's only $195 on the day, but hey, it's much better than being out, $1,000, $2,000. So that's it.